Even when your eyes are closed, your mind does not rest. It listens. It remembers. It replays the day in whispers you cannot hear. Most people believe sleep is an escape, that the mind shuts down when the body does. But the Stoics knew the truth long before science proved it. The mind never truly sleeps. It simply changes its language. While you drift in darkness, your subconscious continues its quiet work, sorting, shaping, rewriting. Every thought you bring into the night becomes a seed, and by morning that seed blooms into the way you see the world. Go to sleep with chaos, and you'll wake in confusion. Go to sleep with peace, and you'll rise in strength. Marcus Aurelius understood this. Each night the emperor laid down his sword and picked up his journal. By candlelight he wrote not about conquest, but about clarity. He whispered to himself the lessons he wanted his mind to remember. The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts. Those words weren't written for history. They were written for the subconscious, a message to the inner self that would keep working long after he slept. The same is true for you. The mind believes what it is told most often. It does not care if the story is true, only that it is repeated. That's why the moments before sleep are sacred. They decide what version of yourself will rise in the morning. So tonight, before you close your eyes, choose your final thoughts with care. Let them be calm, deliberate, noble. Let them echo through the silence. Because even now, in the stillness of night, your mind is awake, waiting for your command. Every night, most people go to bed believing they are simply tired. But the exhaustion that crushes the chest and slows the breath is rarely physical. It is the weight of unspoken thoughts, the invisible load of the day you never released. The Stoics called this the burden of imagination, the suffering that is not real but rehearsed. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Think of how many times you've laid in the dark, replaying a conversation, rewriting words you can no longer change. How often you've fallen asleep in the grip of comparison, anger, or regret, whispering old stories to yourself as if they still mattered. Each of those thoughts becomes a stone. One night may seem light, but night after night the mind becomes a mountain you must carry. Marcus Aurelius faced wars, betrayal, and plague. Yet before sleep he practiced the same ritual, reflection without judgment. He emptied his mind not to forget, but to free. He understood that every emotion you drag into the night roots itself deeper. If you go to bed in bitterness, you wake in battle. But if you go to bed in peace, you wake in power. The Stoics saw rest as a sacred preparation, a nightly cleansing of the soul. They believed that clarity is not found by adding more thoughts, but by releasing the ones that no longer serve you. Seneca advised, "He who is brave is free." And freedom begins in the mind that knows when to let go. So tonight, before you surrender to sleep, ask gently, what am I choosing to carry into tomorrow? You may not be able to change what happened today, but you can choose not to relive it. Lay the burden down. The world will still be waiting for you in the morning, but you will face it lighter, clearer, unshaken. There is a point in every night when the noise finally fades, not because the world has grown silent, but because you have. In that stillness, you meet the part of yourself that cannot hide behind distractions. The Stoics called this the moment of mastery, when the mind, stripped of all pretense, reveals what it truly clings to. Most people fear silence because it forces them to listen to the ache of their regrets, to the echo of their own thoughts. But silence is not punishment. It is the forge where discipline is made. Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Mastery begins in stillness, not in victory, not in noise, but in the quiet act of observation. When you stop chasing every thought, when you stop reacting to every emotion, you begin to see how little power they actually have. You are not your anger. You are not your fear. You are the awareness behind them, the calm witness standing firm while storms pass. The Stoics practiced this nightly. They sat in the dark and let the waves of the mind crash without interference. They did not fight them, they watched. And in watching, they learned that thoughts lose their power when you refuse to feed them. Stillness is not absence, it is control. It is the moment between impulse and action where choice is born. That is where strength lives, not in the man who never feels fear, but in the one who feels it and does not kneel before it. So tonight, when your thoughts rise and your emotions demand attention, do not wrestle them. Do not run from them. Just breathe. Let them drift past like clouds across the moon. For in that quiet, in that pause between reaction and response, you will find the ancient power the Stoics lived by, the power to rule your own mind. Every evening in the old world, when the streets of Rome grew quiet and the empire fell into shadow, the Stoics performed a ritual, not of worship, but of reflection. It was their sacred closing of the day, not a habit of the body, but of the mind. Marcus Aurelius would write in his journal, his words steady as soldiers in formation, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive." But that gratitude began the night before. He ended each day by emptying his mind, by examining what had been done, what had been left undone, and what must never be repeated. He was not seeking perfection. He was seeking alignment, to ensure that his actions matched his values, that his heart and his reason still moved as one. He understood that the day should not be left unexamined, for whatever goes unexamined repeats itself in silence. Seneca, too, believed in this ritual. He asked himself nightly, what did I do well? What did I do poorly? What can I do better tomorrow? It was not guilt he sought, but clarity, because clarity is what frees the mind to rest. This was the Stoic secret. They treated sleep not as escape, but as rebirth, a daily death of the restless mind, a nightly resurrection of reason. For what is a day, if not a miniature life? And what is sleep, if not the space between who you were and who you can still become? In the glow of the final candle, the Stoic laid his thoughts down like armor, polished by reflection, ready for another dawn. He knew that if the mind was not cleared, it would carry its rust into tomorrow. So he made peace before rest, and in that peace, he found strength. So tonight, before you close your eyes, perform your own ritual. Ask yourself, did I live today with virtue? Did I speak with truth? Did I act with purpose? And when the answers come, do not judge them. Simply learn from them and let them go. Because reflection is not about fixing the past, it's about preparing the soul for the sunrise. Change does not happen in a single moment of inspiration. It happens through repetition, quiet, consistent, deliberate repetition. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They knew that the mind does not grow wise by chance, but by training, and training happens in the silence between days. Marcus Aurelius wrote the same truths again and again, not because he forgot them, but because he wanted them to live in him. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. He wasn't reminding the world. He was reminding himself. The subconscious mind listens to what is repeated. It doesn't care whether the words are beautiful or cruel, only that they are constant. And what is constant becomes belief. That is why your final thoughts before sleep matter more than the 1,000 thoughts that pass in daylight. At night, your mind is open, unguarded, waiting to be told who you are. If you tell it you are weak, it will believe you. If you tell it you are learning, growing, unbreakable, it will believe that too. Because the mind does not serve truth or lies. It serves attention. Whatever you feed it, it will grow. The Stoics practiced this discipline nightly, not as superstition, but as science before science had a name. They repeated their values until virtue became reflex. They rehearsed reason until chaos could not deceive them. And they understood that repetition is not the enemy of freedom, it is the path to it. So tonight, when the world grows quiet and the weight of the day begins to fade, choose your repetition with care. Whisper to yourself words that strengthen your soul. I am calm. I am capable. I am free. Repeat them not to believe in fantasies, but to remind your mind what is real. Because peace is not something you find. It is something you practice. One thought at a time, one night at a time, and when the sun rises, you will not wake as the person who fell asleep. You will wake as the one you have been quietly becoming all along, the Stoic within.